Step into the unknown with Shadows of Curiosity, a podcast that ventures into fringe topics, unexplained phenomena, and the mysteries that live just beyond the edges of everyday understanding. Each episode peels back the layers of the strange and the hidden, inviting you to question, wonder, and explore. Have a story to share? Email shadowsofcuriosity@protonmail.com. The Phoenix Lights incident is one of the most famous and widely witnessed UFO events in history, occurring on the night of March 13th, 1997, over the southwestern United States, primarily Arizona. Thousands of people reported seeing strange light formations in the sky that night, sparking extensive media coverage, public fascination, and ongoing debate. The Phoenix Lights consisted of two distinct sightings that both took place the same evening. The first event occurred between roughly 7:30 and 8:40 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Witnesses observed a V-shaped or boomerang-shaped formation of 6 to 10 bright lights moving silently and slowly across the sky. Multiple descriptions noted the lights appeared to be part of a giant craft, possibly up to a mile wide, with no sound. The formation was visible over a large area including southwest Nevada, Prescott, Phoenix, and towards Tucson, spanning about 300 miles. People described the craft as solid, with the lights seemingly attached to or part of the structure, blocking the stars behind it. The lights moved at about 400 miles per hour, taking about 30 minutes to traverse the area, but radar did not detect any corresponding aircraft. Around 10 p.m., the second event was reported. This involved a series of stationary reddish-orange orbs hovering over the Sierra Estrella mountain range near Phoenix. These lights appeared to be separate from the earlier V formation and stayed visible for about 20 minutes before fading. This sighting also drew numerous eyewitness accounts. Many witnesses, including ordinary citizens, pilots, local officials, and even a then-governor, reported the lights. Some perceived the V formation lights as 5 or more separate objects moving in coordination, but not physically connected. A home video recorded by a resident captured the lights but showed them changing relative positions, confirming they were individual lights rather than a single solid craft. Witnesses described the incident as surreal and otherworldly, emphasizing the profound silence of the craft despite its size. Some said the lights flew low, as close as 100 feet above the ground, while others believed the craft was at high altitude. The combination of its size, silent movement, and mysterious nature contributed to widespread intrigue and speculation. The U.S. military later explained one part of the sightings as a formation of a 10 Thunderbolt II aircraft flying over the area during training exercises. The second event, the stationary lights, were identified as illumination flares dropped by Air National Guard aircraft participating in nighttime exercises at Barry Goldwater Range. However, the timing did not fully align. The most impressive formation was seen before the military flare drop, causing skepticism. Some questioned whether the military explanations were a cover-up, especially since the lights were not detected by radar and the flare drop came after the initial sightings. The incident prompted one of Arizona's most memorable press conferences, when then-Governor Fife Symington publicly joked about the event by presenting a staff member dressed in an alien costume. Despite the humor, Symington himself later recounted witnessing the lights and described them as otherworldly. The Phoenix Lights became embedded in UFO lore worldwide, regarded as the second largest UFO sighting program after the 1947 Roswell incident. It has inspired documentaries, investigations, paranormal tours, and a lasting public fascination. Polls showed that about 10% of Arizona residents saw the lights that evening. The event remains unsolved in the minds of many. symbolizing a captivating mystery blending fact, perception, and speculation. The story of the V-shaped crafts above the Hudson Valley, New York, is rooted in a series of UFO sightings primarily during the early to mid-1980s, known as the Hudson Valley UFO flap. This phenomenon involved thousands of witnesses, including credible observers such as police officers, pilots, and everyday residents who reported seeing enormous V-shaped or boomerang-shaped craft adorned with multiple bright, pulsating, multicolored lights. The craft were typically silent or accompanied by a low humming sound, and were described as moving slowly and hovering over the valley. From about 1982 to 1986, hundreds to thousands of sightings were reported across the Hudson Valley region, including areas like Brewster, Newcastle, Westchester County, and nearby parts of Connecticut. One of the earliest reported sightings was on New Year's Eve of 1982 over Kent, New York, when a retired police officer witnessed a massive, slow-moving V-shaped craft flying silently at low altitude. The craft's lights were described as pulsing like a heartbeat in white, red, or green colors. A notable sighting occurred on March 24, 1983, when over 300 reports came in from residents who described a large V-shaped craft with bright colored lights that hovered slowly in the night sky. The objects were often described as very large, possibly the size of a football field, and flying in tight formations. They appeared solid and moved with no sound, sometimes performing maneuvers such as hovering or shooting straight up rapidly. The witnesses included a wide demographic: scientists, doctors, retired military personnel, families, and local police. Police officers on patrol reported seeing the lights and craft. Rising phone calls flooded police stations, and motorists stopped on highways like the Taconic Parkway to watch the phenomena. Despite the compelling volume of reports, skeptics suggested that many of the sightings were due to elaborate hoaxes involving ultralight aircraft or groups of pilots from local airports like Dutchess County Airport who flew in formations to create the V-shaped illusions with lights attached to their planes. These pilots reportedly enjoyed the confusion caused but generally did not aim for a hoax, practicing formation flying as part of their skill building. Several videos were recorded by residents during the height of the sightings, capturing the glowing V-shaped formations, moving slowly and silently. UFO researchers like Philip Imbrogno investigated the cases, collecting testimonies and analyzing footage. He believed some sightings showed objects that were not planes or known aircraft. The Hudson Valley UFO flap became a significant chapter in American UFO lore due to the large number of credible witnesses, the duration over several years, and the distinctive boomerang or V-shaped craft sightings. It entered popular culture and remains a mystery, with some dismissing it as aerial stunts and others convinced of extraterrestrial origins or unknown advanced technology. In summary, the Hudson Valley V-shaped craft sightings of the 1980s were marked by large, silent, lighted craft seen by thousands over multiple years, inspiring both skepticism and intrigue in UFO history. Recent sightings of V-shaped crafts in Los Angeles have attracted significant attention, particularly a well-documented event on August 28, 2025. Witnesses reported a large, black, V-shaped or chevron-shaped craft, outlined with 9 distinct white lights, hovering silently over the city for about 25 to 30 minutes, before slowly moving south and disappearing. The craft's lights were steady and clearly defined, forming a precise V-shape with a small central body at the point, which some observers compared to the silhouette of an F-117 stealth fighter, though with bright visible lights rather than stealth characteristics. This sighting was captured by residents with clear cell phone videos, showing the object drifting slowly and hovering almost motionless in the late night sky. The footage was submitted to the National UFO Reporting Center and sparked discussion about its nature. Two main hypotheses have emerged from researchers. One suggests the craft could be an advanced secret terrestrial drone or aircraft technology likely tested near Los Angeles, a city surrounded by major aerospace and government testing facilities. UFO researcher Mark Christopher Lee suggested these sightings might be examples of highly advanced technology decades ahead of publicly known capabilities. The other hypothesis considers the possibility of ultralight aircraft or man-made drones. But this theory struggles to explain the structure geometry and steady V-shaped light formation witnessed. The LA sighting is not an isolated case. New Fork has recorded at least 34 similar reports of chevron or V-shaped objects with multiple lights throughout the US in 2025 alone, forming a trend of these particular craft being seen in various locations. This recent phenomenon has reignited public curiosity and debate about mysterious aerial objects and their origins, blurring lines between secret government technology and potential extraterrestrial visitation. The story of the Highland, Illinois triangular craft, also known as the Illinois Triangle or St. Clair County UFO, is a widely documented and intriguing UFO case that took place on January 5, 2000. Multiple witnesses, including several police officers, observed a large, silent, triangular-shaped craft hovering and flying slowly through the skies over Highland and the nearby town of St. Jacob in southwestern Illinois. The sightings began in the early morning hours, around 4 a.m., when Melvern Knoll, a truck driver and owner of a miniature golf course in Highland, saw a bright light in the northeastern sky. Upon closer inspection, he realized the light was part of a much larger object. Knoll described the craft as enormous, roughly the size of a football field, dark in color, and shaped like a rectangular or triangular object with 2 floors of windows emitting a bright light. It also had dim red lights on its underside. He likened the craft to a 2-story house in the sky. The object moved very slowly and silently across the sky. Several Illinois police officers, including officers Ed Barton, Craig Stevens, and Mike Short, also observed the craft as it moved southwesterly near the towns of Highland and Dupo and close to Scott Air Force Base. The officers described the craft as a giant black triangle with 3 bright lights at each corner. They noted it made no sound and flew at low altitude, moving very slowly. The object was so large that it blocked the stars behind it, and some officers scrambled to visually track it while remaining in radio contact. One officer mentioned pulling over to watch the object, originally mistaking it for helicopters in formation, but found no noise and strange flight behavior. The National Institute for Discovery Science, associated with the late Robert Bigelow, conducted an investigation into the sighting. They gathered testimonies, radar data, and other evidence, but did not come to a definitive conclusion about the object's origin. One hypothesis explored was that the craft was an advanced military vehicle using electrokinetic propulsion and lighter-than-air technology, potentially built by the U.S. Department of Defense decades earlier. The craft's estimated size was around 600 feet long, 300 feet wide, and 40 feet tall, with a mass of about 100 tons. This theory linked the sighting to other large silent triangular UFO reports collected by NIDS across the United States, suggesting a pattern near Air Force bases and advanced military testing sites. The Highland triangular craft sighting remains one of the most compelling modern UFO cases due to the credible witnesses involved, including law enforcement, its proximity to a known military base, and the extensive investigation that followed. The event revived public interest in UFO phenomena and set a precedent for detailed police testimony in UFO research. The case has been featured in documentaries, TV specials, and in-depth UFO studies that compare it to other famous triangular UFO waves, such as the Belgian UFO wave of the late 1980s and early 1990s. It continues to be a reference point in discussions about secret military technology versus extraterrestrial craft in mysterious aerial phenomena. In essence, the Highland 2000 event tells of a silent, massive black triangular craft observed by multiple credible witnesses moving slowly and strangely in the skies over Illinois, remaining unexplained to this day. So tonight, I want you to look up, not just at the stars, not just at the airplanes, but with your mind open. Think about the people who've witnessed these V-shaped lights. Think about how the sky can hold mysteries we can't yet explain. And know this, even if we don't have the answers, sharing these stories, reflecting on them, can help us to stay under the cover of the shadows of curiosity.